What is up, everybody? This is RybackStun. We are here with the Marvel Heroes Test Center. We're back with a new hero video because it's been a while since they've released a hero, and so it's been a while since I've released a video. Angela's a melee assassin-type character. I don't know why. I mean, she is an assassin, but I'm stuck playing MOBAs, so assassin is the first word that pops into my mind. So she should be interesting. She also has some ranged attacks utilizing those ribbons, and it also has the ability to grab some of her weapons, which is kind of interesting. So starting right off, we'll take a look at her synergies. She's got 2.5% area power damage and 1 speed attribute, which is really neat. Also, to showcase, she has the Shield and Guardians of the Galaxy team insignia affiliations, and she will use...
Why, hello there.
Looks like she's going to use Prometheum, which makes sense since all the other Asgardians use Prometheum. So, right off the bat, she has 3 trees. She's got Assassin's Armory, Heavenly Ribbons, and Wingless One. So we'll take a look at each of these powers as they go by, starting with Assassin's Armory. The first power is Rending Blades, physical damage, spirit on hit, attack speed 2.4 per second. Swap, she uses different weapons. That's actually kind of neat. Let's go over here. So there's an axe. Oh, it's just the axe she's using. Alright, so there you go. Next, we have Rage of Xiphos, which does physical damage in 5 hits, physical damage twice per second, spirit cost 23.7, and a cooldown of 5 seconds. Or 8 seconds, excuse me. So that's her sword that she uses. That's pretty neat. Next, we've got Whirling Wrath, swing the blades around. Blades of Ichor, interesting. Physical damage increased versus bleeding enemies, vulnerability, attack speed 2.1 per second, spirit cost of 7.6. So you use that, which is kind of neat. Then we've got Leader of the Hunt. This has a passive of damage reduction when you hit with a melee power. You've got defense total dodge, regenerate health, and a resurrection, which is neat. This is also your CC breaker. So there you go, bada boom. Hunter's Blades, physical damage versus bleeding enemies, attack speed of 3.9 per second, spirit cost of 7.6. There you go. See, the ribbons will be using part of your blades, which is kind of neat. Next we have Know My Name and Weep, inflict bleeding wounds. So it's physical damage twice per second, and damage increase versus vulnerable enemies, spirit cost of 23.7 and a cooldown of 6 seconds. So there you go. Ooh, it's a nice big old stab, but it does do an area effect. So let's see if we can get that to activate really quick. It's got a short range. So, alright, anyway, we've got Icarus Wrath. Physical damage versus vulnerable enemies. It always does a Brutal Strike. It has an Execute. And it's only versus bleeding, vulnerable, or weakened enemies. Spirit cost of 19, cooldown of 8 seconds, shared with Stunning Icarus, which is not something we have right now. So there you go. Ooh, and it's a nice big area of effect attack. Awesome. Next we have Heavenly Ribbons. First attack is called Writhing Ribbons. Physical attack, it slows, it does a vulnerability. Spirit cost of 9.5, cooldown of 4 seconds. And it's the ribbons just doing shit on their own. Excellent. Binding Ribbons. Physical damage, weakened, stun duration of 3 seconds. Spirit cost 19, cooldown of 6 seconds. So there you go, there's that. Next we have Piercing Ribbons. Physical damage, 4 hits. Regenerate health per second, and it's got an ongoing cost of 20 seconds. So if you hit it once, it does that. But if you hold it, it just continuously shoots the enemy with ribbons, which is kind of neat. Hypnotic Ribbons. It's a Confuse. Area duration of 6 seconds, Confuse duration of 3 seconds. Spirit cost 25, cooldown 10. So those guys would be confused. Oh, that's neat. It's like a little hypnotism thing. That's kind of cool. Next we have Living Ribbons, which this has a specialization tech on it. While toggled on, you deal physical damage per hit. It has an attack speed of 0.3 per second, and it has a spirit cost of 4.7 per hit. So they will just thwap and thwap and thwap all on their own, which is kind of neat. Next we have Stunning Icarus. This is the other your other Execute, but it's ranged instead. Physical damage versus vulnerable enemies, yada yada blah blah. Spirit cost 19, 8-second cooldown. Bang. Alright, we'll look at the next tree before we do that, before we look at the specializations, which is called Wingless One. First, we've got Heavenly Charge. Physical damage. At the end of the dash, you unleash ribbons, dealing more damage. Physical. She's a physical character. 7.2 spirit cost. So there you go. Oh, that's neat. Next is a passive called Daughter of Odom. This is your damage passive. Damage rating, crit hitting, crit damage rating. Plus 10% damage to ribbon powers. You gain accuracy, crit damage rating. You restore 10 spirit on hit, and hitting with any ribbon causes physical damage twice per second. So it's not a bleed, because it's not called a bleed, I don't think, but it does that physical damage, which is neat. Next, we have her her travel power, which is called Take Flight. They recently bumped all these to 1,000, so that's awesome. And she just flies really friggin' fast. It's pretty neat. Next, we have Nothing for Nothing. This is your signature. It can be activated up to 5 times in 8 seconds. The first 4 hits cause Angela to spin in her foes, excuse me. So it's a spin attack with a vulnerability. Stacks up to 4 times, so you can get up to 40 damage from the spin attack. It does vulnerability. On top of that, enemy takes 15% damage for 10 seconds after reaching 4 stacks. So, is that total? Interesting. Final hit causes Angela to lash out with her ribbons. Ribbon attack, which does huge damage, cooldown of 30 seconds. So, she can dash. There's that, and then the big old attack there. And that looks like the attack is actually directed, so you'll want to make sure that you're directing it into a target that you're going to hit. We'll do that again once it cools off. Angelic Smite, physical damage twice per second, increased damage to ribbon powers by 10% for 4 seconds, knockdown duration of 2 seconds, spirit cost 23.7, and cooldown of 8 seconds. So there you go. No sound just yet, but that's okay. Heaven's Fury. I wonder if that's spelled correctly or not. Physical damage for 10 hits. You are invulnerable for the duration of this power. Spirit cost of 28.5. Cooldown of 8 seconds. Let's see. So this is one of those cool Oracle Assault dash powers. Excellent. Let's use the signature one more time and see what happens. I think it's because I'm not critting. Yeah, it's still doing damage, but I'm not critting on it because I don't have any crit strike, obviously. So this is just TC. So, looking at Living Ribbon's specializations, you have Constraint. She commands her ribbons to bring adversaries towards her, causing living ribbons to pull enemies near her. That's neat. Next, we have Barrage. Angela's ribbons become enraged, causing living ribbons to double their attack rate. Nice. Next, you have Ribbon Shield. Living ribbons protect you from enemy attacks, reflecting 3% of incoming projectiles. That's pretty neat. So you can have your Constraint pull enemies towards you if you're fighting a bunch of ranged enemies. You can have them barrage enemies for 0.6 attacks per second. I wonder if it scales up. It does not scale up other than barrage. Or you can use the ribbons to protect yourself from projectiles, which this might actually be best in slot for this character because, and, you know, someone's going to watch this and complain, but to me, the way I've seen it, universally range damage has always been overpowered. It has never really been in a place where it works the way it should, and that's not great. So, last but not least, we have Helen Back, which it's got a buff effect. You've got increased critical and brutal damage rating. You have regeneration of 8% maximum health per second with a 20-second buff duration on that. Your active effect is you deal physical damage twice per second. The ribbons are pulling enemies towards you. You are invulnerable for the duration of this power for 8 seconds, and it's got a 10-minute cooldown. And then after that 8 seconds, you'll have the remaining 12 seconds to do damage with other powers. So let's check it out and see what it looks like. No sound yet, but so you can see the ribbons trying to pull enemies. Wow, look at how awesome that is. So, and you just deal a ton of damage, and then in addition to that, you just try to do as much damage as possible with all the rest of your powers. You're going to have to be careful when you're using her, because some of her abilities, like the base sword attacks, will not activate and hit enemies unless they're within the short range of your power. So, this is like the Daredevil's old problem that he used to have. His Staff Strike would put him out of range of enemies with anything but Staff Strike, and then when you actually try to use the regular attack, you wouldn't be close enough to hit it. So you gotta get in there and, like, engage. So, there you go. That is Angela. She's actually, seems pretty interesting. It'll be interesting to see how her damage output comes once it's all finally tuned, once you get to level 60, once you have all your little uniques. I think there might have been an actual unique box on here, but maybe not. Let's see. DPS testing, ultimate power upgrade. Nope. No, doesn't look like there's any Angela boxes, which is a shame. Anyway, that's okay. We'll see what happens later on. Somebody else might get a picture of them and throw them up there. But that is Angela. Hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did showcasing it to you. Remember to like and comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Tumblr at RybackStun. More videos as they happen and I feel like doing them. So with that, this is RybackStun, signing out.